Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things and welcome to another video. And I'm very sad to say that this is the final introduction video of the Mega Dickens Readalong, but today I am delighted to introduce to you The Mystery of Edwin Drood. So, if you don't know what the Mega Dickens Readalong is, I will leave some links down below in the description. But basically, the Mega Dickens Readalong is a 2-year read-along where we have been reading the novels of Charles Dickens in publication order. And we have finally got to the end. The Mystery of Edwin Drood is the last book for the Mega Dickens Readalong. It is Dickens's last novel, unfinished, and this is the end, which is very sad, but also kind of exciting. It's been really fun reading a lot of Dickens over the last 2 years. So The Mystery of Edwin Drood, we're going to be reading throughout September 2024. Start when you want, finish when you want. It's up to you. There is no more set schedule than that. The Mystery of Edwin Drood was published in monthly serial parts from April to September 1870, but Dickens actually passed away in June 1870, so it was never finished. He had written 6 out of a planned 12 instalments, which means he got exactly halfway through when he died. And it is deeply tragic that this book is not finished because it is really good. So this novel is set in the cathedral city of Cloisterham, which is possibly based on Rochester, which is where Dickens lived for quite a lot of his life. And it follows a few different characters, especially focusing on young Mr. Edwin Drood, his fiancée Rosa Budd, who doesn't necessarily really want to be engaged to anymore. Maybe she isn't that keen on him either. And we also follow Edwin's uncle, John Jasper. And then partway through the narrative, Edwin Drood vanishes in mysterious circumstances, and the mystery is what happened to Edwin Drood. And of course, because Dickens didn't finish this novel, we will never truly know, and that is deeply sad. Some people obviously have written like endings to Edwin Drood, and there are some things that we know Dickens said to people during the writing of Edwin Drood that may tell us certain elements of the mystery. But at the same time, if you have read any other Dickens novel, you will know that Dickens's endings are often quite convoluted, so I feel like whatever Dickens may have left behind and said, it would have been a lot more complicated than that, and I'm so sad that we don't have the actual ending of the book. I am very excited to reread The Mystery of Edwin Drood because I have actually only read it once, and that was 13 years ago when I was 18 years old. I have not read it since. As usual, I'm going to give you some reasons to read The Mystery of Edwin Drood, but of course, before I do that, there is one big reason potentially not to read The Mystery of Edwin Drood, which is that it is unfinished. I also feel like it's like the absolute saddest level of unfinished. You know, there are some books that are unfinished, like Elizabeth Gaskell's novel Wives and Daughters, where it's so close to the end that it doesn't matter that much. There are only going to be 1 or 2 more chapters, and you know what Elizabeth Gaskell was going to do. It's very clear the direction the ending was going in, so it kind of works as it is, and it's still satisfying. Or there are unfinished works like Jane Austen's Sanditon or The Watsons, which are just fragments, really, just a handful of chapters. The story doesn't even really get going. But The Mystery of Edwin Drood is literally half a book, and it's like the most mysterious of Dickens's books. It's such a frustrating amount of the book to have because you get halfway through and you can see just how good it is, and then it's just done. It's fantastic, but it is very sad that it's not finished. So if you're someone who really struggles with unfinished books, it might not be one for you. I think for people who have been taking part in the Mega Dickens Readalong most of the way through, then this is going to be a really interesting read, and it's definitely worth a read if you are a Dickens completionist, but it may not be for everyone because it's unfinished. So I have 8 reasons why you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood. I was trying to do 10, but it's been a really long time since I read this, as I said, so my memory of certain bits of it is hazy, so I thought we'd just stick with 8. First reason to read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is its setting is really interesting. It's set in a small town / cathedral city, which is quite different. Like a lot of Dickens books are set in London, and this setting of this, you know, fictional cathedral city is really interesting. I think it's something you will find especially interesting if you're an Anthony Trollope fan, and especially if you're a fan of like the Barsetshire Chronicles and Barchester Towers, because it's a kind of similar setting, and that's really fun. The second reason why you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is for the character of John Jasper. John Jasper is a fantastic character. So one of my favourite characters in Our Mutual Friend, my favourite novel ever, one of my favourite characters of all time is Bradley Headstone, who is just fascinatingly drawn. When I say favourite character, I don't necessarily mean that I want to like sit down, have a cup of tea with him, but I find him absolutely fascinating. And John Jasper has some things in common with Bradley Headstone. There's a bit of me that thinks that Charles Dickens found Bradley Headstone so interesting to write that he made a similar kind of character in John Jasper, and made him a much more important part of the story in the Mystery of Edwin Drood. You know, we see a lot more of him, and he's a really, really interesting character. He is also an opium addict, which is quite interesting and something you don't see very often in Dickens. So that's another really interesting thing about John Jasper. The third reason why you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is more broadly the cast of characters is great. I remember especially enjoying the dynamics between Edwin and Rosa. As I said, they're engaged, but they're sort of like both a little bit unsure about their engagement. It was basically kind of arranged by their parents, and it has been ongoing for quite a while. And their dynamic is really interesting, and there's a lot of other fascinating characters too, and I'm really excited to rediscover them on this reread. Another really interesting thing about The Mystery of Edwin Drood is that Dickens like plays around with tense in it quite a lot. If memory serves me correctly, quite a lot of the novel is written in present tense, and Dickens obviously plays around with present tense in Bleak House, and also a little bit in Our Mutual Friend, but he does it quite a lot in The Mystery of Edwin Drood in a way that is really interesting and gives the book quite like a modern feel. That's really interesting too. The fifth reason why I think you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is that the mystery is really, really intriguing and really great. Obviously it remains like, you know, eternally unsolved, but it's such a mysterious, intriguing book, and I love the mystery elements in it. And my sixth reason, in fact, to read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is that it is Dickens's most like outright crime novel, I guess. Like a lot of Dickens's books have crime as some kind of element, but The Mystery of Edwin Drood focuses really strongly on someone's disappearance and the question of like, was Edwin murdered or not? And you know, that's really, really interesting to see Dickens like going more full crime is really fascinating to me. The seventh reason to read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is that it is really thematically interesting and quite thematically dark as well. As I said, it deals with opium and addiction, and there's also themes of like obsession and hypocrisy and sort of how people can be one thing to some people and then be completely different to other people. You know, how people can have very, very different sides of their characters. I feel like it's got a lot of really dark and interesting, intense themes, and I'm really excited, as I said, to reread this and discover them again. And then the eighth reason, the final reason why I think you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood is that it's just really, really, really good. Like, I have always thought that Dickens kind of gets better over time. You know, my favourite of his books, my favourite of every book ever, is his final completed novel, Our Mutual Friend. And I remember thinking, aged 18, when I read The Mystery of Edwin Drood, if Dickens had finished this book might be my favourite book of all time. Like, if he had finished this, would I love this more than Our Mutual Friend? Maybe. I remember thinking that. It was 13 years ago. Obviously, I have a lot of, like, subjective, affectionate love for Our Mutual Friend. Maybe I won't feel that this time, but that is how good this book is. I'm so sad that Dickens didn't finish it. So, those are my 8 reasons why you should read The Mystery of Edwin Drood. I'm very, very excited to reread it because, as I said, it's been such a long time since I last read it. I'm going to be listening to the audiobook narrated by Billy Howell, and I'm just really looking forward to rediscovering Edwin Drood and like being slightly heartbroken all over again that Dickens didn't live to finish it. And you know, Dickens was only 58 when he died, and I think when I was first kind of getting into Dickens, when I was a teenager, I was comparing Dickens to, you know, authors like Jane Austen, who passed away at 41, or the Bronte sisters, who all died in their 30s. But actually, when I think about like how many more books Dickens could have written if he had lived 20 years more, I do feel very sad. So yeah, I love The Mystery of Edwin Drood a lot. I'm so excited to reread it, and I really do recommend it. So that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching this final Mega Dickens Readalong introduction video. Please do let me know down in the comments if you're going to be taking part this month. And otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.